I have now 18 years in a heart transplant. As many people know, in Cayman, I was an airline captain with Cayman Airways, and I developed a flu virus, which ended up with what is known as the left ventricle was enlarged, and the heart was affected, and I lost my pilot's license, and then 5 years later I was in heart failure. So it's known as viral cardiomyopathy is the terminology used. And 6.5 weeks I was in intensive care on last resort medication and oxygen. And then on the 26th of February 1996, at around 8 o'clock at night, they found a heart for me. And that was coming from Daytona Beach, Florida. All the nurses in the hospital knew that I was an airline pilot, so they got all excited because they knew about the donor. And they said it was from a pilot that died in a skydiving accident in Daytona Beach, Florida. Quite a bit of coincidence, because that's where I learned to fly in 1965, before this gentleman named Scott was born. I'm one of the unusual transplant people because I was able to get to know where the heart came from. And how that happened was that my son and my daughter was talking to a pilot friend of mine, and they mentioned, the date and when I got my heart transplant, and they says, we were at the air show in Daytona Beach when an accident happened with skydiving, and I would believe we know your father's donor family. And to get the closure on it, about 6 months after the transplant, myself, my wife, Carlene, and my daughter, Monique, coming from a duty-free show in Orlando, drove to DeLand, Florida, and met all his friends. They introduced us to his girlfriend, who he was engaged to, and we found out all the information on my donor, which is very unusual in the donor program, because they don't allow you to meet the family. So anyway, the girlfriend contacted the parents of Scott. He was 27 years old, and they said that that they couldn't deal with it. But she came to my birthday party, which was my 50th birthday, and all the presents from that was collected, and the money, instead of gifts, was donated to the Cayman Islands cardiac care unit. In my particular case, the donor, the girlfriend Christine, says she got 5 letters thanking them for the donor, for the kidney, the heart, the liver, all the different organs. So it's a part of life sometimes that people don't want to consider because it's not the nicest type of conversation, but organ donation saves lives. I mean, I'm living proof of it.
It's a strange thing, as it happened, I felt like I was fine. So your mind tells you you're fine, but your body is like, no, we're not. Like, nothing works. So, that was my basic experience. The whole time, even en route to the hospital, I'm like, no, I'm fine, leave me alone, I'm fine. But totally not fine. My wife asked me to squeeze her hand, so I took my left hand, because I was left side affected, took my left hand, put it on hers, and squeezed it with my right. So your brain automatically starts thinking of how to compensate for the fact that you're broken, essentially. It has been very difficult. I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to recognize myself, if that makes sense. And so for the longest time, I was dealing with, I want to be back to normal. And it's this perpetual desire to be back to normal. And you slowly realize that it's not possible. You are a new person, and you just have to build what you're given, build it back up. And who knows, you may get back to where you were, you may not. Know your family history, know yourself, make sure you get regular checkups. One thing that I've come across that I discuss with my therapist quite a lot is that a lot of times people get diagnosed with certain things like high blood pressure or hypertension or those types of things, and they may get prescribed medication and then they think, oh, I'm okay. And those are the times that you're most susceptible. So really stick to your regimens and make sure you consult your physician before making any decisions.
I had no quality of life. The morning I went up there to see Dr. Ravi, my wife had to hold on to me to keep me from falling down. When we got there, they asked if I needed a wheelchair. I said, nope, I don't want a wheelchair. I had no quality of life, none at all. It was miserable. I couldn't sleep. I don't know what caused it. I guess it was the heart. I'd heard about Health City, and I went to see Dr. Ravi. And Dr. Ravi went in, he checked my heart. When I got awake, he came to my room and he says, "Uncle Bill, it's open heart surgery for you, you know." I tell my brothers, my nephews, go to Health City and get a checkup. Health City, I can't praise them enough. Health City and the doctors saved my life. They gave me a new life, and I will forever be grateful to them.
I was diagnosed with hypertension a couple of years ago, and last year I had a cardiac event, which basically meant to me that I had a mild heart attack. It was a complete surprise to me. I had family history, but thought I was fit, ate properly, exercised, that this wouldn't happen to me. It started off with signs that I thought was just due to physical activity and nothing that I should be worried about. And because it was New Year's Eve, I thought I'd better go get this sorted, and went to see my local GP, who then sent me on to get further tests at the hospital. The doctor at the hospital basically said that I was not going out for New Year's Eve, and in fact I had to stay in the hospital for the night, which then led to ongoing tests and further evaluation in Miami. Since then, all's good. I now have medication to sort of control the hypertension, and also to learn about different lifestyle choices. I'm really pleased to support the Heart Foundation. I think they do a wonderful job with education. In particular, the Red Dress Affair is a wonderful event to support every year. The education, the speakers that speak at those events are very knowledgeable, and it's wonderful to hear how the technology and different people in the industry provide information to us here in Cayman.
I have a condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathies. The acronym for it is HCM. Many people can't say the long word, and I was diagnosed recently, and it led to me having an ICD implanted in me in case I do go in cardiac arrest, because I'm at higher risk of actually dying from sudden death, especially if I was, excuse me, if I'm athletic. Good thing I'm not I'm not an athlete, but it would if I were, it would have put me at a higher risk of just dying on a field. We had a death recently from a person who didn't know he had it, and it's a bit of a scary condition, but at the same time, I do know that I have it, and I'm alive and well because I'm now safer with the ICD that's in me, and I'm just a much safer person knowing that I have this condition, and it's not a death thing. It's something I can live with, live a full life. I can live in my 60s, 70s, 80s with no problems, as long as I continue to monitor my heart to make sure that I'm not overexerting myself that would cause me to die. Of course, the Cayman Heart Fund is a great organization here in the Cayman Islands. They raise funds, and if I needed any support, they're there to help me. They're there to help anyone with any type of cardiac issues, whether it's a genetic cardiac issue like I have, or if it's a disease where it's because of your diet and stuff. So again, Cayman Heart Fund, I fully support them, and I'm glad that they're around.